This is drone footage from really what is left, and there's not much of Mariupol, Ukraine over the weekend. Explosions in the city streets as the Russians continue to sort of tighten their noose on the city. The mayor of Mariupol says now there have been 10,000 civilians killed. Frankly, looking at the video, it's hard to imagine that that number is so low. I want to show you exactly what we're talking about Mariupol. This, as the sea, is Azov right here. Crimea would be down here, Russia here, Kyiv all the way up there. There is precious little left of areas still controlled by the Ukrainians, and all the way up here would be covered in red as well. So the noose is tightening on Mariupol. We know that this is the Russian doctrine, is to simply destroy the city and crush the people's will to survive and live in there. The Azov battalion says that the Russian forces here are using chemical weapons to try and hit Mariupol, some type of chemical irritant. That, though, has not been confirmed. I want to show you some other video from around parts of Ukraine. This is from Kharkiv, just in the eastern part, the second largest city, where the Russian forces have largely left. They're blowing up landmines and other booby traps that the Russians left behind. It shows you sort of the Russian doctrine of being willing to kill civilians even after they left, to try and punish the folks left in these cities and to terrorize them. We look at the full view of the map. We've taken off all the areas where the Russians were. So remember, the Russians came all the way down near Kyiv here. They controlled this whole area. That's all gone. This area now, the Russians have been fully pushed out of. The Ukrainian offensive line has come all the way into here. Kherson is still very much contested for the Ukrainians. That means the Russians can't push their supplies out here farther to the east. We talked about Kharkiv. This is the very far end of the Russian advance, and the Russians are pulling all their forces back around here, resupplying here. This is the fuel depot and ammunition depot that had been hit by the Ukrainians inside Russian territory. And now we're going to see Russian attacks coming this way, this way. Unfortunately, the drawing feature on the map isn't working today, but you still have that very large Ukrainian force sitting here and just waiting to try and hold off this Russian offensive on three fronts. Kharkiv here, the second largest city in Ukraine, is the key, and there was an 8-mile-long convoy of Russian tanks and armor headed just around Kharkiv, so just around by the border there. We're going to show you some of that video from drone footage. The question is, how much of this was able to be hit by the Ukrainian drones that took that video? And this shows you why Kharkiv is so important. This is Kharkiv right here. There's a Ukrainian defensive line here, couple of Ukrainian defensive lines. The main Ukrainian force is out in this area here. There's about 20,000 of them, and you see the Russians trying to pinch and encircle the Ukrainian forces that are here. What makes this so difficult is that for the Russians, they can bring all of their supplies in here from Russia through this area that's controlled by the Russians and then out to their forces. For the Ukrainians, they need to bring all of their supplies a 15-hour drive that way from the Polish-Ukraine border. So in terms of supply lines and the ability to attack supply lines, that part of this war has shifted, bringing retired U.S. Air Force Major General Mick McGuire now to talk about that. Have we heard yet of the Russians being able to actually attack any of these supply convoys carrying the NATO weapons all the way out to the east, General?
I haven't heard any reporting on that. As you mentioned, what I have, a number of sources have confirmed that they have consolidated from a three-front to a two-front war, basically east and south. And as you focused in the lead in there, Leland, Mariupol, and shoring up the area north of Crimea all the way into the Donbas region. You know, and I think it's very important right now for us, while there's this recalculation with command structure. You talked about the butcher of Syria coming in. There's an opportunity here for the U.S. And others to try to take the lead and get supplies out there to them to help reinforce them. But unfortunately, it looks like Biden is not going to take that position.
Well, I'm unclear as to what supplies you think the United States should be sending that were not, that the Ukrainians would know how to use and wouldn't require U.S. servicemen to use.
Yeah, well, as an example, the MiG-29s is the best example. I was an F-16 pilot by trade. We sent F-16 guys over through the California National Guard. I was the commander of the Arizona Guard, but we had an F-16 training unit that went out and trained with their MiG-29 pilots. Poland has offered those up. They need that capacity to provide some defensive counter.
I understand the MiG debate, and you can go back and forth on that. In terms of the ability to take out Russian aircraft, they're getting the S-300s. We understand the Brits have sent a lot more anti-aircraft weapons here. Is Russian air power really the big issue here, or is it the fact that the East is so much more rural that the Russians are going to be able to use sort of overwhelming maneuverable force with their armor backed up by helicopters in a way that just didn't work out here in Kyiv and some of the more urban areas?
Well, I think you hit on it in your lead in there. There's the tyranny of distance they have to cover to get things over from Poland, that the Russians don't have that disadvantage. As well as in the Donbas and the Crimean region, they have a larger percentage of ethnic Russians on the ground there. So how things play out outside of Mariupol is that they will have a natural advantage, as well as the ability to move armored and heavy weapons in pretty quickly. That's why I just keep calling on us to try to get leadership here to de-escalate. We saw the leader of Great Britain, Boris Johnson, head out there yesterday to Kyiv. We really need leaders to try to de-escalate.
You talk about de-escalation, though. That didn't seem in anything what Boris Johnson was saying, and certainly President Zelensky after the meeting in Kyiv with Boris Johnson, and he seemed much more emboldened on the world stage and feels like he's got the Russians on the run. I don't see any de-escalation. I'm trying to put this together. You think that President Biden should send MiG-29s, but also de-escalate at the same time. How does that work?
Well, you have to have the ability to defend the skies over the area you control, like your capital. And you also have to realize that, as you just mentioned, this fight in the East is going to get much more protracted, going to be dug in for a long period of time. The Russians are recalculating and now just have to supply two fronts with much less distance to cover. It's going to be a much bigger challenge than what they had when they stretched themselves too thin, got overextended, and ended up in Kyiv in a situation where they were on defense. So I think it's in everyone's best interest right now to try to de-escalate this thing, including the Ukrainians, and figure out how to find a ceasefire in some way. They got to be able to defend their sovereign territory.
Yeah, the ceasefire seems to be elusive right now. At least some of the folks I talked to out there say it's, for every one day that this goes on, it's another week that will continue the fighting. Hey, we appreciate it, sir. Good to see you. Thank you.
Thanks, Leland. I appreciate it. You have a good night.
Yeah, you too, sir.
Thanks for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.